In a country where going to the movies is a national obsession, a country which churns out more celluloid fantasy than anywhere in the world, one film is sparking an extraordinary reaction.
Nothing had prepared me for the way the Shiv Seniks attacked Fire. I mean, nothing.
This is the only way to pressurize it, that way. Majority doesn't like it.
I think what I remember was the viciousness in the expression of the women who were tearing up the posters. And it felt like such a desecration.
Internationally acclaimed director Deepa Mehta is stunned by the reaction to her film and by the changes she fears are taking hold in her country. Now when she travels in India, she's forced to take along an armed guard.
Because it's not that tangible, it's more scary for me personally. We're being told all the time what we can do, what we can't, what we can see, what we can't. And that, to me, is sort of like the beginnings of fascism.
The world's largest democracy is today honouring its national hero, Mahatma Gandhi. But these people are marching not to celebrate Gandhi's birth, but to warn that his message of non-violence and tolerance is being trampled.
The law connives him and is involved. Look at this gentleman here listening to me. Now there's a policeman listening to me. This is the so-called free state. Film this man. He's watching everything. Film him.
Pride ruled my fear.
Among those who fear the country of Gandhi has lost its way is the Mahatma's great-grandson.
The fear psychosis amongst the creative people on whom the attacks have been the most virulent is because of the sheer strength of louts that these people have, the stormtroopers that they have, to whom nothing is sacrosanct.
The fear on the streets here is generated by this man.
Once
known for the tolerance of its Hindu majority, India is now experiencing the march of religious extremism. Bal Thackeray runs the Hindu Fundamentalist Party in the state of Maharashtra. The Shiv Sena has held power here for 5 years, with a combination of anti-Muslim propaganda and brute force. Now Deepa Mehta is in the firing line.
Are they that strong? Yeah.
Though she knows it's the stronghold of the Shiv Sena party, Deepa Mehta has come with her daughter to what is also India's culture and film city, Bombay, now known by its traditional name, Mumbai. She's fighting to get her film Fire back in the cinemas.
Does that hurt? I'm treated like a household pet, and I take it. That's what hurts.
It's a film that talks to a large degree about the importance of choices.
This isn't familiar for me. This awareness of needs, of desires.
It's a gentle film to Western eyes, a subtle Indian Thelma and Louise, without the guns or even much nudity. But lesbianism was always going to be provocative here.
We have really never dealt with the subject of homosexuality I mean, very subtly, maybe you see little shades and not mentioned and, you know, just camouflaged in a lot of other things, but never sort of head on.
What the women are doing basically is negotiating more space for themselves. What they're doing is trying to break out of a tradition that places them only as wife and mother, you know, as the bearer of male children. And the fact that they're moving out of that and also claiming desire. My God, if women start claiming desire, can you imagine how dreadful it would be for our culture?
Radha?
Just ignore him.
Radha?
Please don't go.
Where were you?
With Sita.
You didn't hear me calling?
Yes, I did.
Why didn't you come?
Sita says the concept of duty is overrated.
Such rebellion against male authority is also provocative in a culture where the majority of women are subservient to men.
When women come to see this film, they're not really seeing it as a lesbian film. They're probably relating to the loneliness that the women go through, or the way arranged marriages, you know, I mean, that little scene where the guy I marry, I mean, he just makes love on the first night, or I won't even call it that, has sex on the first night and turns and sleeps off, you know. And I think that's the loneliness that people really associate with.
But Fire is nothing like the majority of films produced in India. In the Hollywood of the East, Bollywood, it's Hindi films like this that are blockbuster material, serving up their own peculiar version of visual popcorn and vacuous portrayal of women. Here, filmmakers turn out suggestive song and dance numbers by the dozen and scenes full of titillating innuendo. But the one thing you won't see is a kiss. There was a time when the screen kiss was perfectly acceptable, but that was before independence, when symbols of Western culture weren't a problem. Now Bollywood is not only the country's entertainment factory, but the keeper of Hindu culture. And lesbianism is not just seen as an import from the West, but an affront to the Hindu ideal. So your worst fears were that this area could actually have been damaged?
Yes, this could have been damaged very badly.
Rusi Modi, whose family has run this Art Deco cinema in Bombay since the 1930s, felt the force of Shiv Sena opposition when he began screening Fire.
Yeah, but this is where all the action took place, and this is where the crowd gathered, and these are the windows that they broke. This one, then the other two where the crowd is, that side, and...
How did they break them? What did they smash them?
Well, they're sticks, stones, smashed them with their fists, whatever. There must have been about 200, 300 people.
So how shocking was it for you?
Very shocking. I mean, I would never have expected something like this to ever happen in my city of Bombay. Never.
This is the face behind the violence. A devout Hindu and a lawyer, Sudha Churi appears frail, but as the head of the women's wing of the Shiv Sena, she's a powerful political force.
See, in the film Fire, that whatever is shown, it's against our culture. And it's unnatural things, which our religion, our custom will never permit. And that's why we're against that.
Sudha Churi sees herself and her band of fellow Shiv Senics as the voice of the silent Hindu majority, a majority which she says has in the past docilely accepted outside influences and not stood up properly to defend its culture.
I believe in law, no doubt. That is true. But they are doing their duty.
You say you have a right to agitate, but the people who want to see the film...
They want to see, then they should not see. Why they want to see that?
प्यार इस तरह की एक इमारत ये भी है, ताज महल.
Normally, Sudachuri and her Shiv Sena wing could rest assured that no lesbian films would make it past the Indian Censor Board.
Yes, India has always been unbelievable.
The censor screens hundreds of films a year, most of them from Bollywood.
What we essentially feel here is that censorship is important to moderate that freedom of expression, and that plays a very important role. I think censorship is very important in any civilized society.
But when it came to censoring Fire, this guardian of Indian culture, with its rigorous rules governing the portrayal of women, violence, sex and animals, took the side of the filmmakers.
The essential point here is that the movie fit our guidelines, and that's why it was cleared by the Censor Board.
All of us actually thought that probably the censors would cut something out of it. And the fact they didn't was, wow, I mean, maybe people are getting matured.
No such maturity was shown by the Shiv Sena. Its reaction was not only to forcibly remove the film from the screens, but to send Fire back to the Censor Board. Once the censors made a decision on a film, how rare would it be for a film to be sent back by a particular state government?
What happened recently in case of Fire was is in recent memory the only film that I have come across.
And Sudachuri warns the Censor Board it had better not pass the film this time.
If they do that, then we'll start again agitations. We'll stop pictures.
So if they do pass it again, there'll be more violence?
But it is sent back,
It's completely unacceptable to say that they speak in the name of Indian culture, because Indian culture is a very tolerant one. This kind of intolerance that the Shiv Sena has shown is unacceptable.
But then tolerance has never been the hallmark of this party. It's marshalled support over the years with an appeal to raw emotion, the emotion of religious fundamentalism. Here on the outskirts of Bombay, tens of thousands of Shiv Sena supporters, proudly displaying their party's colours, have been bussed in to celebrate the Hindu festival of Malingrad. But for all the enthusiasm the event seems to generate, this is not a Hindu pilgrimage that is familiar to recent generations. It's a piece of their culture Shiv Seniks say they're reclaiming after it was stolen by Muslims.
It's at mass gatherings like this that the ruling Shiv Seniks whip up enthusiasm for their brand of Hindu fundamentalism. Today, the saffron-swathed supporters are here in their thousands. But a decade ago, you'd have been more likely to find Muslims here than Hindus. That's because while these people say this has always been a Hindu shrine, for the best part of a century, it's been better known as the mausoleum of a Muslim saint. And the mere presence today of this saffron throng is a powerful reassertion of the dominance of the majority.
It's about politics, it's not about religion. It's about using grievances in the past, real or imaginary, that need redress in the present times to get back your honor, so to speak. And by doing that, becoming a way of mobilizing votes.
Sudachuri and her women's wing are right behind their party's leaders when it comes to defending their culture against the Muslim minority. And it's now that Sudachuri lets on what really bothers her about Deepa Mehta's film. It's not lesbianism being shown to Indian audiences, but lesbianism between Hindu women.
Two ladies, they're Indians, they're shown. If that lesbian is everywhere, you have to show, why not to show women from other countries like Christians or like Muslims?
That, to my mind, is the most dangerous and insidious thing that happened in this whole situation. The attempt to try and make it into a Hindu-Muslim thing when that wasn't the case at all.
Come on, we're leaving right now.
Listen, Radha, I'm glad he found us.
It was certainly provocative for Deepa Mehta to have called her two lead characters after the two most revered goddesses in Hindu mythology. But she says the trial by fire of the goddess Sita sets up the key theme of the movie.
What do you mean, no? It's your duty.
The point is to make somebody go through through continuous, women especially, continuous trials to prove their purity seems to be a part of our ethos. And that's why I called her Sita.
Do you think that if you had been a Muslim director, you would have been more at risk? People would have reacted even more violently towards you and your film?
Oh, absolutely. In this climate right now, it would have been disastrous. If I was Muslim, I would have been lynched by now, and the film would have been, just put in cans and dug up in some cave or the other.
Are you serious?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's no question about it.
In one surprising quarter, though, they're refusing to be intimidated. Despite the clear signals from the Shiv Sena that it wanted the film banned, the censor passed fire a second time. For Deepa Mehta, it's a moral victory, but she's resigned to the reality that it won't be enough to win against the will of Shiv Sena godfather figure, Bal Thackeray.
People are petrified of Mr. Thackeray. The reason the film, I think, will never be played in Maharashtra, and I'm positive of that, is because Mr. Bal Thackeray said that this film will not play in Maharashtra.
In this city, which has always been at the centre of India's culture, fear is now setting the artistic agenda.
This is the same thought process that murdered the Mahatma 51 years ago. This is the same kind of propagation of lies and falsehoods that heralds the coming of fascism.